Now, a dentist from Leeds has been giving up his time and his money to volunteer in war-torn Iraq in what he describes as the worst health conditions he has ever seen. Dr. Mohammad Mozaffari treats hundreds of patients, including orphans and widows, of victims of the so-called Islamic State through a charity called A World Without Barriers. Mark Ansell reports.
Dr. Mohammad Mozaffari is back in his day job treating patients in Bramley. He's been to Iraq 4 times in the last 12 months, treating orphans, widows and the homeless who, after suffering years of conflict in their country, have had to prioritise just getting by rather than things like going to the dentist. Some of his patients were victims of the so-called Islamic State who'd fled to the city of Najaf, where he volunteers.
They had the worst general health and oral health conditions I'd ever seen. They were conditions that would normally be picked up when the children are born, like cleft lip and palate, so having a hole inside the lip and hole inside the mouth, which would normally be picked up and treated. There were 4 or 5-year-olds that were still suffering to eat and were malnourished.
Outside of work, Mohammed spends much of his time in the mosque in the centre of Leeds. It's his faith which motivates him to give up his time and spend thousands of pounds a year travelling to Iraq to volunteer with the charity A World Without Barriers.
What Islam teaches me is that the other person in society has as much value as I do. And so by equalising the other in your own eye, you move away from egotism, you move away from monocentrism, you move away from being selfish, and you move towards really a standpoint of caring and loving and compassion, and ultimately altruism.
Yeah, but what did I show you?
Mohammed hopes to be back in Iraq soon, putting a smile on faces where they need it most. Mark Ansell, BBC Look North, Leeds.